My heart goes out to the families of those men and women that have lost their lives in Afghanistan, including those men who were allies with us and their families. I'm saddened by them. I can't imagine my little children watching me get shot in the back of the head because I wanted a better life for them. And my belief was that the United States of America was going to give me that life. And I basically, in that situation, these men, they banked on that. They thought the United States was going to protect them. And this terrible administration completely abandoned them, and now they're being slaughtered, along with our soldiers who can't come home, and other people who can't come home. Anyway, my heart goes out to them, and I feel a great sorrow and a great responsibility. You know, myself, I've been blessed to live in this country more than I ever deserve. But my children, I hate to think about what they have to go through. And it was because of my generation and the generation before me. I have to give it to my grandfather's generation. I think they fought and did a pretty good job. Maybe they forgot after the World War II, I don't know. But I think they fought pretty hard for liberty. But then it was so good for us that my father's generation and my generation just kind of forgot what liberty is like, how important it is, and how rare and how sacred and special it is. And now my children look like they're going to pay the price for that. Freedom brings prosperity, it brings happiness, it brings peace, it brings faith, it brings love, it brings families, it brings good things in every way. And that's what Idaho can become, and I believe it can become that. I believe it should become that, and I also believe it must be. And then it must spread those ideas, the proof that liberty works will be shown to the world, because Idaho will be doing it. Taking a morning walk in this beautiful country, and I come across something here just kind of in the middle of the trees, and you'll see if you can see it right. There's just it looked like a healthy tree, and it's been blown over. I feel like this is kind of a symbol of the United States of America right now. You can see that the roots were not very deep, not very spread out, and the upper part was really heavy, thick, looked pretty healthy. But problem is it didn't have enough roots to sustain the wind that came and pushed against it. I'm sure that's what blew it over. Nothing really else here that would cause that. And we are seeing right now that America is being blown over by our pride, by our just inability to put leaders in charge of the blessings of this country. And particularly I see and have to speak about what's happening in Afghanistan. And really what's happening in Afghanistan is just a result of terrible leadership in Washington, D.C. And it's our fault as a people and as our nation. We put a man in authority there and a people. It's not just one man. Joe Biden certainly is just doing it on his own. In fact, I don't know if he can go to the bathroom on his own. But and I seriously say that. I seriously wonder if he could even go to the bathroom on his own. Anyway, and we've put, the most powerful military force ever known to man, the most powerful legal team ever known to man, the most powerful government ever known to man in written history. And we put basically someone who we really don't know whether he can go to the bathroom on his own in charge. And even if he can, he's completely incompetent, and his team is completely incompetent. I believe that and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, I think my 10-year-old daughter would have more love and care for the people in Afghanistan, especially our own people, our own soldiers, and would not have made the decisions that President Biden would have made. And I'm honestly saying that. I do not believe my 10-year-old daughter. I think she'd have more common sense and more compassion than our current administration in Washington, D.C. And I feel terrible about, I can't imagine what it would feel like to get a phone call saying that your son or your daughter have been killed because of just the incompetence and irresponsibility of the way that President Biden's administration pulled the troops and evacuated Afghanistan. And it just shows that we don't have competent leaders. They're completely motivated for things that that are only for their power. They're not for anybody else's benefit. They're for their own. And it's destroying our nation. It's destroying the once beautiful thing that the United States of America has. I just saw a video yesterday, a gut-wrenching video of Afghanistan soldiers who were allies with U.S. troops over there, and they were being lined up on their knees and shot in the back of the head. And then once they were shot and dead, then they just opened fire on them. Just riddling their bodies with bullets. These are, men, and they're probably fathers, and they're people. And the disregard for human life was appalling. And, I'd encourage you to go watch that, but I would warn you as well. I'm sure it's out there on the internet somewhere. But it's sad because we caused that. And, anybody that wants to act like, we didn't cause that is completely delusional. The United States of America caused that. We should have never been there in the first place. We should have never been over in Afghanistan in the first place. And we got wicked people like George Bush Jr. that that want to go and create war for wealth. And then we go over there and we try to, and then we don't do it right. Congress never, declared war. We should have never been there. The American people weren't threatened by that, despite what they try to say about 9/11. Anyway, we should have never been there. And then we go through several administrations, both Republican and Democrat. And all of them end up basically continuing that war. And, President Trump, I believe that he was the only one that had any type of sense in how to get us out of that war. But he did have 4 years and still never got us out of that conflict. I can't really say a war because it's more of a conflict. And here we are. Our soldiers, our sons are still dying. And we're still, and then we decided to just pull out of it completely irresponsible. And it's just sad. And I know it's because we have basically no leadership, no real leadership. You know, a nation does have to be led. There has to be decisions made, and sometimes those decisions are difficult. And we have these, you know, career politicians. Literally, the only thing they know is politics, and they are not equipped to run a country. They're not equipped. They don't even know how to. They probably don't even know how to, you know, make their own breakfast. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm overstating, but I mean, my point is they have no skills. They have no life experience. They don't know what it's like to be really a family or a person out there living, because all they've done is posture themselves and talk, and the government's paid them because they get in these positions, and that's all they do. And it goes further than just the elected representatives. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about even those that fill the offices of the bureaucracies. I mean, they went to college and they got a degree in political science, or they got a degree in this or that, and then they thought, you know, I'll go into the public sector, and they go straight in there, and they don't have any real life experience. Meaning, you know, because when you're in the government, if you make a mistake, you don't pay for that mistake. When you're in the private sector, or you're in your own business and you make a mistake, you pay for that mistake. And sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes it takes years, you know, to pull out of the mistakes, and you learn those lessons. And these people haven't learned these lessons. They haven't. I mean, you know, I'm generalizing here. I'm sure there's, you know, a few of them, but by majority, by far, they go there because it's secure to them. They don't have to really perform, and they don't have to really produce, and they still get paid a living. And so people like Joe Biden and his entire administration are people who, you know, have done nothing really to produce anything. And so why would we expect that now all of a sudden they're going to be able to make real life decisions that are accurate? And, you know, that's the thing I did like about President Trump. I mean, President Trump was not a career politician, and he was somebody that had actually done a lot of something in his life. And he was just completely attacked because he was an outsider, and really because he was holding them accountable, at least to the point where he was saying, look, you know, you're producing nothing and doing no good, in fact, harming the American people. And, you know, I'm going to do it different. And they were like, you're not going to do it different. We've been doing this for, you know, a century. And you're not going to come in and all of a sudden ruin our jobs program. And that was the battle, really, that Trump had. And they ultimately got him out of office, and now we have this guy who I literally, I'm not trying to be eccentric, but I wonder if the guy can actually go to the bathroom for himself. And he's our leader. And then we got, I mean everything, it's coming apart. coming apart, and it shouldn't be, and that's what's sad. I mean, it's very simple. The people of this country still have the capability to prosper, to be free, to thrive, and to have peace and tranquility. But we have to be left alone to a certain level to be able to do that. And these people in this government are not going to allow us to do that. And then you got, the woke generation coming up. I mean, there's such a bunch of fools. They have no idea. Again, they're a whole generation of people that, I gotta get over this log. Whole generation of people that haven't done anything. They've literally lived off of the rest of us who have produced. And that's who they are. They have no idea what it takes to actually produce food for themselves, to actually build a home, to build a road, to actually live without living off somebody else. And they're the ones that want to somehow and are controlling our society. And the rest of us are like, oh, let's listen to them. Like somehow they have any credibility to be, to even have a say in the way society should go. They can't even produce their own food, and we're listening to them like they're somehow the right way to go. I mean, it doesn't even make sense, but we've lost our sense. We've become that tree that has little roots, and we're all bloated on the top and fat. And now a little breeze comes along, a wind, a good gust comes along and blows us over. And maybe we can tip ourselves back over and trim the branches and get better roots in the ground. So when the storm comes or the wind comes the next time, we can withstand it. But that's quite an effort. We have to pick ourselves back up. We have to truly trim ourselves. We have to cut down this government to where it's looking like more like, 5-10% the population, rather than, 40 to 60% living off the other population, living off the producers. And that's what it looks like. That way we can grow deep roots, and our roots will be deeper and wider than our branches. And we can live and thrive and produce and have fruits. And if we're going to survive, that's what we have to do. And anyway, it's a very interesting time in life. But myself, I've been blessed to live in this country more than I ever deserve. But my children, I hate to think about what they have to go through. And it was because of my generation and the generation before me. I have to give it to my grandfather's generation. I think they fought and did a pretty good job. Maybe they forgot after the World War II, I don't know. But I think they fought pretty hard for liberty. But then it was so good for us that my father's generation and my generation just kind of forgot what liberty is like, how important it is, and how rare and how sacred and special it is. And now my children look like they're going to pay the price for that. And it saddens me. It saddens me to see young men go off to war, because I know why they went. Most young men go off to war because they're the best of the best, because they want to defend, and they've been led to believe that going into the military and fighting these conflicts is the right thing to do, the patriotic thing to defend liberty. And I don't know if I agree with that. In fact, I really don't agree with that. Not when it comes to these conflicts that really are just powerful men's wars. But either way they go for the right reason. And then their lives are lost and their families mourn. And it's just an epiphany of basically what we're doing to our children. And it makes me sad. And it also makes me mad. It makes me want to just rip down this power that is so destructive to us in this country. And anyway, I've kind of put aside my life trying to do that. I don't know how successful I've been. I certainly have done a little bit, I guess, and want to continue to do more. But anyway, I just hope that you can sense and understand the urgency and the need to make a change. And my idea of trying to make a change is, and I have been involved in depth. I've spent 2 years in federal prison, not even convicted of a crime, and fought them with my family, my brothers, my dad, our wives and children. It was a difficult thing. I spent a year in solitary confinement during that time, and I was never even convicted of a crime. And come home and just want to be left alone. And then this whole COVID stuff starts. And I'm like, we can't stand by and let this happen. We can't. And so I began to rally people. I create a software that mass communicates with patriots. Got 60,000 people in there. We began to rally and really make a difference. And then Idaho here, the governor and the state police started pushing back and started arresting us. And I got arrested 5 times and over COVID garbage. Most of it was for just literally being at the Capitol building because they didn't want us to persuade and have influence on the legislatures. Anyway, spent a total of 65 hours in what they call the cold box. It was pretty miserable times. And I did it because I felt like, something had to be done. We had to respond to this abuse, to this usurpation of our rights. And then I began to see pretty clearly that the Idaho government was, doing the same thing and very similar to what was happening in Washington, D.C. And so, but I felt all the people of Idaho were not aware of that, and they would not condone it. And so I, through, prayer and fasting and trying to humble myself, I felt that I should run for governor. I had some name recognition here, I do. And anyway, make a long story short, I believe that if we can get control of a state government and we can start straightening that out, because that's something that I believe is manageable. Washington, D.C., I don't know. I don't think that's ever, I don't know if that's ever going to straighten itself out. But I believe, with the ability and with the people of Idaho understanding that we can become this state that sets it right, that begins following the principles and the outlines that our founders set, that brought such prosperity and peace to us. I believe we could do that in Idaho. I believe the political climate is perfect. It's going to take a lot of just raw grit, but I think it's possible, especially with a good amount of people uniting. And so And then what I believe could happen, and it'd be a great blessing to the entire world, is that example of Idaho could perpetuate to other states. Other states will begin to do the same thing, and we'll begin to work together, Idaho with these other states, and we could possibly, create a wave of liberty again throughout the United States and throughout the world. And I do believe that is possible. I believe that it's going to take a ton of effort, and it's going to be a battle, because everywhere these bureaucrats and elitists are sunk so deep into government. But I don't think we have a lot of option other than just a physical conflict. And so I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to try to get in control of the executive branch of the state of Idaho by running for governor. And I'm going to do my best to empower the legislature here, to get them to understand what their true purpose is, and then also to restore the power that belonged to the people and has been usurped, and just create an environment of freedom. And freedom brings prosperity, it brings happiness, it brings peace, it brings faith, it brings love, it brings families, it brings good things in every way. And that's what Idaho can become, and I believe it can become that. I believe it should become that, and I also believe it must be. And then it must spread those ideas, the proof that liberty works will be shown to the world, because Idaho will be doing it. And then others will do it as well, and we'll work together. And that's my goal. Anyway, appreciate you listening to me. I've been on this is the 9th day of a kind of a tour I've been doing. It's been really, really good. I've met with hundreds of people, and I haven't kind of broken out of my echo chamber yet. Most of these people that I've been meeting with, which has been hundreds, but they have the exact same feelings that I do. And I think we're going to definitely have to scale that and break out of and get more people in Idaho to understand, and others across the country. But that's what I'm going to do. So anyway, thank you for listening to me, and my heart goes out to the families of those men and women that have lost their lives in Afghanistan, including those men who were allies with us and their families. I'm saddened by them. I can't imagine my little children watching me get shot in the back of the head, because I wanted a better life for them. And my belief was that the United States of America was going to give me that life. And I basically, in that situation, these men, they banked on that. They thought the United States was going to protect them. And this terrible administration completely abandoned them, and now they're being slaughtered, along with our soldiers who can't come home, and other people who can't come home. Anyway, my heart goes out to them, and I feel a great sorrow and a great responsibility, and pray that God will take them into their heart, into his arms, and forgive them of anything that they had done, and that their families will know that they're with God and have peace in that, because really that is the ultimate peace. So thank you.